Hey guys, I'm Evan. Welcome to Country View Acres. So you can see we definitely have a weed problem back here. This is where I lay my equipment down, and of course all the weeds have grown up through it. They're about 10 feet tall. It's some pretty bad weeds. So I decided to get out my big set of hedge trimmers. This is my New Holland 451 sickle bar mower. So I'm just going to grease it up real quick and we'll get started. So I figured I'd just start up here first. So I'm gonna try to knock some of these weeds down in this little parking area where we put our equipment. But I can't go too far because these weeds over here, these are actually the 10-foot tall weeds. There's a disc, a 12-foot disc buried inside of there. You can't see it, but there's one there. So I'm just gonna try to get what I can. Then I'm gonna move over to the driveway where it's so steep we really can't mow and see if we can top off all of those weeds there. And then we're gonna move over to the pond dam and see if we can knock some of that down. Well, you can see that raising the 3-point hitch up all the way, I still can't lift the sickle bar off the ground. But honestly, that's probably going to help when we go do the pond dam, so I'm going to leave it that way. Move on to the driveway. I don't even know if this will fit in here, to be honest with you. Trim the trees. It is going to be close.
So this is the first time I've ever tried to mow this ditch with the sickle bar mower. I was really wanting to try this out instead of having to use a weed eater to take care of all this. I was hoping the sickle bar would end up being an easier implement to maybe use, but this turns out to not be the greatest idea in the world, trying to do this ditch.
Well, the mower hit the tree. Looks like I'm about 8 inches short from making it. Both those trees are dead right there. I'm gonna cut them down this winter. Maybe I'll be able to get in there and mow this next year. All right, I think it'll work on this side of the tree the rest of the way. I think. So hopefully you can see why I'm mowing with the sickle bar. See how deep this ditch is. I got a culvert right here and this won't lift up for some reason. Well, I see what the problem is. This cable here, this is supposed to pull on this and lift it up. And the cable is loose because the bolt came out of this end. And it must have just happened. Or maybe it happened when I went the other direction because here's the bolt right here. Well, I had a 5/8 lock nut back in the shop, so we're gonna put that on here and get this fixed right up. This should lift the sickle bar again. That's enough to clear. Oh man, I got into the culvert. I did cut the culvert with the sickle bar a little bit. Try not to hit the dang fence. If I get this into the fence, that'll be a bad day. Well, the bolt that sticks out the side of this got into the fence a little bit. Oh, I think so did the blade a little bit. Nothing horrible. Well, I've never tried that before with the sickle bar, so I didn't know whether it fit or not. Obviously a 7-foot would work better than this 9-foot sickle. But we'll move on to the pond dam, and I guarantee it'll work better there. Well, that was some pretty tall stuff that we just went through. So, pretty thick stuff. I don't know if we broke any blades or anything, just thought I'd check. Nope. Looks like all the blades are fine. I think I did a fairly good job. We didn't get like the bottom 4 feet, but we got, you know, the very top of the dam. So that's a big improvement. The bad thing is it just lays everything down, so it still looks really bushy. And it doesn't really look like it's been mowed, but this will slowly die down. And that is way quicker than sitting here for 2 hours with a weed eater trying to do that. And weed eating on a hillside like that is terrible. So I'll definitely do this again with the sickle bar mower some other time. That seemed to suit it very well. And the good thing about it was I'm up here on top of the dam, so the tractor was just over here a little bit. It was just slightly tilted. So you didn't really feel like you were leaning the tractor too much, like you were gonna roll the tractor over. So it wasn't like you were mowing on a slant, right? You're up here on the top of the dam and the sickle bar was going down the side. That seemed to work out really well. Remember, our sickle bar is sagging so much that it isn't really lifting it off the ground, and that's what's helping be able to do this. So this is the hayfield that we planted with grass seed last week, and the clover in it is already like sprouting way up. We mowed it right before we planted, but the clover is just coming right up. And I don't want this clover to shade out the new grass. And the new grass, I do see a little bit of it just starting to germinate. So it's just starting to sprout. So I can mow it with the sickle bar mower. I want to do that one more time here, just to keep the clover from shading out the new grass as it sprouts up. And the sickle bar won't disrupt the seed. It won't pick up the seed and blow it out like a lawnmower would. So we should be able to mow this without disturbing any of the seed. And then once we do that, we won't drive on top of this field again until next year. And hopefully all them sprouts come up and this fills in with grass. But let's mow it down real quick with the sickle bar, and I'm gonna probably try to do this as quick as I can. Well, that went perfect, like no problems whatsoever. The sickle bar just buzzed right through this clover. We only cut like 3-4 inches off the top of it and just laid it down, but it just ran through it perfect. No clogs, no problems whatsoever. I don't think I've ever ran the sickle bar for a long period of time without having some sort of a clog and having to get out and unclog it or knock it off or do something with it. I mean, we just basically just kept going the whole time, and it went really good. I mean, that was enjoyable doing this time. I've always struggled with it before, and it's probably just because the grass is so short and it really isn't that thick. So yeah, that was actually the first time I've really enjoyed probably mowing with the sickle bar. But it's definitely not set up right the way we have it. We shouldn't have it sloping down like that. It should be able to pick itself up. So let's take it back to the barn real quick, see if we can make a slight adjustment on this and see if we can get it to lift itself up the way it should. That way I can actually carry it and move it around without it dragging the ground. So back up to the pole barn. So this cable is loose and it doesn't tighten up until about right there. It finally got tight. But this whole bracket right here, looks like all the welds are breaking loose. That's probably needs fixed first, is we need to fix this bracket. The cable goes around. So this cable runs around a pulley right here, and then it comes out, and then it attaches right here. This is where the bolt came loose earlier. It dead ends right here. Well, this bracket that's holding this pulley, all these welds through here are broken right there. And if we look on the outside, you can see all the welds right here are broken, and you can see it is pulled away right here. So this whole thing has pulled inward. This pulley, wherever it's supposed to be, I'm not sure exactly how far this is supposed to be over, but look at this plate. This plate is all bent up. So I'm not really sure where the right place to put that is. I don't know if it necessarily matters because we can adjust it. So down here the cable has got 3 adjustment holes, 1, 2, 3. It's all the way to the left here, and then there's adjustments here, and it's all the way to the right. So there's 2 adjustments. That's a fine adjust, and this is more of a coarse adjust. And there's a ton of adjustment there. So I'm not sure how much I want to get into, but we need to try to fix all these welds. I'm going to assume I can't move this, but I'm going to try anyway. Curious if I can get it to bend back where it was. Oh. I'm going to cut off some of this metal I don't think is necessary. So I've tried to clean this up so that it's easier to weld with the MIG welder, and you can see how far that gap is there. You can see this crack, and it extends all the way up to there. You can just see like the poor welding job there and the holes in here. I mean, it's just a very poor welding job, and how bad it has cracked and moved. So we're going to fold this up, take it in the garage, try to re-weld that, build that up. All right, so I've covered up those crappy welds with my crappy welds. So they're not the prettiest, but I have beefed this up. I've went over this several times. I've beefed it up. I've filled in where this gap, where it's cracked away. And hopefully that will strengthen this up and keep that from shifting. If this breaks again, we'll just have to really tear into this and weld this on the bottom and on the other side and just rework the whole thing. But that'll be good for now. We'll just try it and see what happens. So for this cable adjustment, I'm just going to go ahead and move this bolt over to here and do this first rough adjustment and see how that does on lifting up the sickle. Well, I definitely like the way this is looking. I do. Still touches the ground just fine. And when you lift it up all the way, it is high, way higher than I've ever had it. That's like a couple inches above my knee. So that end is actually, man, probably 6 inches higher than this end. So that end's high now. That's gonna make it way easier to turn, that's for sure. Lift it up and turn around. And then when you lower it, not the end's touching now. This is still 6 inches high, so I still got plenty of room to lower it. There it's touching. Yeah, that looks good. I like that way better, way better. So definitely is gonna help when you wanna pick it up and move it around instead of dragging it on the ground. So I think I'm gonna leave it just like that. Well, I gotta play around with the sickle bar mower today. I've always pretty much used it to cut the hayfield. So I gotta play around with it and actually try to do some trimming with it. Didn't work real well along the side of the road. Just way too long for that. Worked great on the dam. So what I think I would do next time I wanna mow the dam and I want it to angle down, I can just take this bolt out, move it over that one hole, and now that sickle bar is gonna wanna go low and angle down low. So all I gotta do, I think now to mow the dam is just switch the bolt location of that cable and it'll change the angle of how that sickle bar lays down. And I think it'll work great for doing the dam and keeping it clear, at least most of it. It's not long enough to do the whole thing. And yeah, and then the way I have it now, that's gonna be a lot better for when I'm actually cutting grass or cutting a field. So it's kind of a nice day actually getting to mess with this because it was the first time, besides trying to mow on each side of the road, that did not work out at all. But mowing the dam went well and like mowing the field went well. So it was actually kind of enjoyable using the sickle bar mower. I don't know if I could ever really said that before. So did have to do a little bit of repair. Seems like it's not really a day around here if I don't have to try to fix something in some way or another. So that just kind of seems normal, I guess. But I think we made it a little bit better than what it was, and it ran really good today. So I think that's gonna be it for today's video, guys. So thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. I just noticed I've got grease like all over my whole arm. That's nice.